My name is Dermot Cavanagh. I'm an artist, tutor and demonstrator, and I've presented 74 how to paint programs for the BBC called Awash with Colour. Over the next couple of hours I'm going to show you how to do a watercolour painting from the initial sketch to the finishing touches, and pass on lots more new tips and tricks of the trade. So I hope you are settled in and you're going to enjoy the demonstration tonight. First thing I want to do here is talk to you briefly about the colours. I'm using those for years. Cerulean blue. Look at how grainy and granulating the cerulean blue is. It's a very heavy pigment. So the heavy pigment sinks into the divots on the paper. So the more colours you have, the more confusing painting is. Let's have a little look at the scene first of all and see what it is we're going to paint. And for the benefit of the people who are joining us for the first time, you have downloaded, or I have sent you some downloadable information. There's the colour mixing knitting pattern, as I call it, and this gives you the colours that we're going to use, the brushes that we're going to use, the paper that I'm using, and all of the colour mixes. That's self-explanatory really, and this is just sent in 2 sheets. They're A4, you can print those out, and be careful that you don't make it too strong, otherwise your sky is going to be too blue. I wanted blue at the top but fading as it goes down. Now I want to try this out on a piece of rough paper, and you can see that that's a nice blue sky colour, and if that's too strong, all you have to do to weaken it is add a little bit more of the water to it. Wee bit down here, you see that's all with what's left on the brush. I haven't dipped again there, so I'm just using the residue of what's left, because the sky disappears down behind the hills there. Always put the excess moisture into your tissue. Don't overdo it. There we go. Overpainting ruins more paintings than enough. So don't be tempted to do too much. There, I'm happy with that. Don't need to take that raw sienna out of that brush because it's not really doing any harm. There was hardly anything left in it anyway. And washing your brush sometimes can be more trouble than it's worth. Oh, that's better there. That's a nice Indian yellow. You can buy that. It's about $6.50. But sure, if you can make it, you don't need to buy it. But the sun is catching that bank, so we don't want to over darken it. It's catching the light from the left hand side, a wee bit on the edge there. You see that? I'm going to blend in a moment, but I'm not going to blend until I put in some of the dark wash. So I'm nipping all of that lighter dark green out. I'm going to be dressing my brush here as I come out of the palette. I can use the little well here beside that to dress the brush, and see if we can get that in a wee bit tighter for you so that you can see exactly what's happening there. Now, cut it at the top a little bit, just a tiny wee bit. Cut it at the bottom a little bit, and then go between the two. Can you see the way I'm following the fall? Painting from the top down, and very, very religiously following the fall of the roof. I'm going back every now and again and picking up a wee bit more of that colour just before the brush runs out. Never let your brush totally run out, otherwise you're going to have a different colour. So where you would have a red of that tone, and then if you let the brush run out and then replenish, you're going to have, just come with me to the palette for a second. I'm going in there and I'm taking off all of the excess so that I don't overload it either, because an overloaded brush would make a much darker wash than the previous wash. Now I'm going to mix the grey colour, and the grey is just cerulean blue and a wee bit of neutral tint. So let's see what that looks like. There we go. That's perfect. And a tiny bit more Windsor blue just to compensate for the more yellow going in. Let's see what this looks like. That should be a really bright, sunny green, and it is. So we have that one, this one here, and that really dark one there. If you want your painting to hang together and keep it in harmony, the best thing to do is to use the same colours in your painting palette over and over and over again. And the thing is, I use 12 colours. I used to have maybe 30, 40 sometimes, but I realised that every painting looked terrible because there was too many colours in the mix. So if you try and keep your colours to a minimum and get used to using the same colours all the time, then everything you do will have a harmony to it. As long as the colours that you're mixing do work well together. Now on the website there's a massive colour mixing section on that, and it'll take you through a lot of the intermixes that I would use so that you'll be able to practice that for yourself. And it's amazing how quickly you can get your colours to hang together and look harmonious if you're using the mixes made from colours that really do complement each other. Now I'm painting down here, but I'm thinking up there. So don't forget about these bits up here. They have to be kept wet as well. And get those really fine. I'm going to turn this upside down now, because it's easier to do the left hand side pulling away from the tree. So throw it in from the bottom left, at the bottom right hand side, and sort of working out and up, so that it's getting dark at the bottom and getting a little bit lighter towards the top. You see the way that just bleeds, and I'm just going to widen that shot now. See the whole thing in context. There we go. Perfect. Hold my breath for a minute. There's one on the door. There's a bit there, a bit here, a bit underneath there, and then we're over to here, along the edge of that, and down the edge of this one here, and underneath those bits there, and water onto the path. So here we go. So I'm going to put water down here. It's the road, not the path. Right, on with the wash. That looks okay. Now, just smooth that out a bit. And we need to put a bit of green. You know you're in the country when the grass is growing down the middle of the road. Well, this khaki green looks good up here. Now, just a wee tiny bit there. I'm going to put a bit up the edge. Now, I'm going to dry that brush until there's absolutely nothing in it. And then I'm just going to feather it over the top that the path is coming, so that it sort of smooths and diffuses that green into what's beside it. Better dry that off first, because it's going to bleed into it. So with the number 5 brush, I just want to put a couple of wee bits of grass in there. There's a couple of wee splashes there. It's a good way to get rid of them. And I think that just about does it. So we have the old cottage on Gort Road with the trees, nice sky, dapple in the foreground. And thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've learned more bits and pieces of about watercolour painting. And say hello to Joe McCusker as well, and Barry Lanyon down in Portsmouth. So hopefully you'll join me again for another one when I'm going to do a Mediterranean scene from Croatia. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments and share the details with your friends if you have friends who you think might want to join in. Thanks very much. Thanks for your patience. See you again soon. Bye bye.